Ooh, barely got my head in there. All right, everybody. My head is what you see, so that's what you're gonna get. Yo, what is good? It is the Godfather of gaming. Turn that off. The ageless wonder, the VR king of the crumb side, your boy Lincoln Clay coming back at you with another video. I shot a video yesterday, but I was in stupid mode and forgot to turn the AC off, so the fan from the AC blew into the mic of this phone, so you could barely make out what I was saying, so it wasn't even worth uploading the video. And I got a few things I want to talk about, but I'm going to have to condense it because I don't want to make a really long video, because then it takes forever to upload. Even with my broadband at home, it still takes forever to upload. You may hear the occasional squeak of the wiper blades because it is drizzle out here, so please bear with that, along with the alerts in this car. So first thing I want to talk about is what I'm going to do once I'm out of YouTube jail. I have a total of 4 YouTube channels. I have this channel, which is my main channel. I have my Twitch channel. I have a channel that I created about 10 months ago that was for other content not related to gaming. And then I have the channel that I created a couple of days after I got thrown in YouTube jail. So I think what I'm going to do is, realistically speaking, I think that I've gone through a couple of different phases throughout my time on YouTube, and whatever phase I was going through, I think I was attracting people for that particular phase. For instance, it's no secret that I do not like Microsoft, EA, and Comcast, and every now and then I will go on rants against any of those companies. I still have a high disdain for all those companies. That's not going to change. And I think when I was going on those rants, I was attracting people who like to see rant videos or rant streams. Then as time went on and I started gravitating more towards VR and dedicating myself to VR, I think I started attracting a VR crowd. So with this channel right here, you kind of don't know what you're going to get from me. Today it might, although I've dedicated myself to VR, and most of my content is VR, every once in a while you still might, I wouldn't exactly call it a rant video, but every now and then you'll still get a video out of me where I'm giving my opinions on certain things within the gaming industry that I don't like. I don't like Microsoft. I don't like EA. I don't like Comcast. I don't like Activision. I don't like Bethesda, but the only thing that stops me from going like all the way in on Bethesda is they are invested in VR. Even if they're double dipping, and even if they're providing us with last gen games, they still see something in VR. So they still have given us a few AAA titles in VR, and I think they're going to continue to give us those titles next generation. So while I think there's some, while I think they are some greedy words that I would like to use to describe them, I think they still make contributions to the growth of VR. So, but as I slowly made that transition to VR, I started attracting that kind of crowd. You know, VR enthusiasts, people who love VR. And I became friends with YouTube enthusiasts, YouTube VR enthusiasts. So I think, so putting it bluntly, I talk about VR. People who like rant videos or opinionated videos might skip over it. But if I go on a rant video, those people will watch, but you know, the VR people might not watch, because VR as a whole is positive. There's no headset war. As far as VR goes right now, Sony and Oculus are the two biggest entities. And while they have their own exclusives that would make you have to purchase their hardware in order to access those games, they're not fighting with each other. They're not smearing each other. They're not trying to vilify each other to try to, you know, better themselves. So the VR community is positive. So I'm thinking that, you know, maybe some of my VR subscribers don't want to hear rant videos and that kind of stuff. And I don't want to go flip-flopping, you know, talking positive today about VR and then the next day talking about my disdain for Microsoft the next day. So I think what I'm going to do when I get out of YouTube jail is I'm going to use one of those other channels kind of for the rant videos. It's not always going to be a rant video. It'll still be videos and streams and stuff like that about gaming as a whole moving forward. But most of my dislikes within gaming come from the flat screen side. There's not a whole lot right now that I dislike about VR, because VR is still growing. I think it's past the infancy stage. I think it's probably in the toddler stage right now. So we haven't been hit with anything that disgusts me about VR. It's still positive. It's still growing. And I think there's going to be a lot more stuff to come from VR in a year. So I think what I'm going to do is like separate those channels. I think this channel is going to stay dedicated to VR. Definitely with the game streams, because I just really don't play flat screen games that much anymore. Although I will play The Last of Us. I'm gonna play and I'm gonna finish The Last of Us. It might take some months, but I'm gonna do that. Ghost of Tsushima is another one that I plan to flat screen game that I plan to buy, that I plan to finish. Also, Shenmue 3 is another flat screen game that I plan to buy, and I plan to finish that one. And that's about it. You know, there's some other flat screen games, interesting games that's coming out that, you know, sound interesting, but not enough that I think I would finish them. So I think this channel is going to stay mostly dedicated to VR. I'll use one of the other channels. Hey, if Microsoft, Activision, whoever, even Sony, if they do something egregious, something anti-consumer, something that doesn't fly with me, then I'll use one of those other channels to let that be known. Because as I said before, VR, for the most part, is a positive platform. And that's the kind of energy I want to keep when I talk about VR. I don't want to talk about the growth of VR, the positive atmosphere of VR, and then come back the next day, fuck Microsoft. You know, I don't do that stuff. So that way, whatever channel you see me streaming from, you know what kind of content to expect. Now, as far as my Twitch channel goes, that's kind of a play it by ear thing, because I definitely wanted to keep my Twitch channel for the Friday Night Jam, because I really I really did enjoy. I did the Friday Night Jam twice. Oh my God. The battery just came on. Not now. Don't do this to me. Wow, right in the middle of this shit. Okay, so anyway, we'll move on. But anyway, back to this Twitch situation. Now the 2 times that I did the Friday Night Jam, both YouTube and Twitch's algorithm, picked up some of the songs that were copyrighted, claimed, whatever you want to call it, and action was taken on both of those formats. In the case of YouTube, the stream was blocked. One incident, it was blocked regionally. Another incident, it was blocked globally. And then on the Twitch side, I watched the playback, and the stream was muted for almost half of the stream. I streamed for about an hour, and probably about a good 25 minutes of that stream was muted out due to copyright concerns. So the Twitch stream, the Twitch channel, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to continue to upload content, do live streams from the Twitch channel, and just see what happens from there. See if the channel grows. See if people respond to that channel. We'll see what happens. So, wow, I spent way more time talking about that than I wanted to. But that's my situation right there. Moving on to the next subject. Yesterday, I had wanted to talk about the situation of Sony knocking the price of PS Now down to $10. That creates a whole new ball game in terms of PS Now competing against Xbox Game Pass. I think it's going to create a totally new war for next generation, because now that PS Now has been slashed to $10, now you have a situation where PS Now becomes a much better value than Game Pass, because you're getting 5 times the amount of games for the same price. And for those who think Ultimate Game Pass is a bargain, I do not think that's a bargain. It is actually the regular price that you would be paying in the first place. So, yeah, I broke down the math before. Game Pass costs $10 a month for a whole year. That's $120. Xbox Live costs $60 for a year. If you break that down, that comes out to be $5 a month. So when you put those two services together, it comes out to be $15 a month. Exactly the same price that Ultimate Game Pass costs. So now that PlayStation Now has been chopped down to $10, it is definitely the better value as far as the services goes, even though I do not plan to subscribe to either of them. I believe in buying my games. I think the only way that I would be interested in subscribing to PlayStation Now is if they were to add a shitload of VR games to that library, because there are a lot of VR games that I'm interested in, but not sure if I want to spend the money for some of those games, because I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be a good game or not. But still, the way things sit currently, PS Now is still definitely a better buy than Game Pass. And I expect Game Pass memberships to go in the tank. And once that happens, I think that's going to force a response from Microsoft. They're going to have to respond. And I think the way Microsoft might end up responding is, they could knock the price of Game Pass down to $5, or Ultimate Game Pass, knock that down to $10 a month. Another way that I think they'll respond is probably sign exclusivity deals, where they might get hold of a game and put it on Game Pass for, say, maybe a year before it can go over to PlayStation Now. I think that in turn could, force a response out of Sony. And now we might have a timed exclusivity war, and also we would have a situation where the console war is now a service war. And I might sound biased by saying this, but Xbox just refuse to accept defeat. They just refuse to accept that the war is over, the console war is over. They still keep trying to poke for any little victories they can get. At one time they acted like, the Xbox platform is the better platform or the better brand because of Game Pass. But now that PS Now is the same price with 5 times the amount of games, they'll probably keep their mouth shut until Microsoft responds and adds a feature or something that might make Game Pass look a little more attractive. Then we going back and forth again with another silly ass war. So so that's definitely going to make in the minds of the Xbox, that's definitely going to make the score 0-0 again. So here we go again with another, goddamn war again. Going into next generation, the war ain't going to be about what's the better console. It's going to be about which platform has the better service. So that's that. Let me see. How far are we into this stream, into this recording? We're 17 minutes into the stream. I think I can take about 10 minutes to talk about this Last of Us thing that I wanted to talk about. So, I'm sure a lot of you who are looking forward to The Last of Us Part 2 have been keeping up with these trailers. You can kind of make your own deduction of what's going on with the story. And what appears to be the most telling part of the trailers that we've seen so far is the most recent trailers. And you had a scene where Ellie was going through a door. She was grabbed. She was pinned to the ground. Teeth had been knocked out. Obviously, she must have saw something horrifying because she was begging them to stop. Said, please stop. One of the thoughts that crossed my head that possibly Joel or Tommy was probably about to be killed, but I doubt that she would have said, please stop for either one of them, because both Tommy and Joel are warriors and they'll fight to the bitter end. And she knows that they'll fight. So rather than beg for their life, rather than beg for either of their lives, she might try to figure out a way to, get out of her jam so she can help them fight. So the only other circumstance that I could probably see where she would be begging like that is that something must be happening to her girlfriend, this Dina girl. You saw by the trailer, it was the day after. They talked about the kiss that they shared. And from there, the trailer leads you to believe that they had started a relationship. And I believe that Dina's the only person that Ellie would have begged for like that, asking them to stop, please stop. And then you hear the gunshot. So when she said, please stop, assuming that that was Dina, whatever was happening that made her say, please stop. A lot of us led to guess that either whoever this militia is or outlaws, whoever they are, they were probably beating the shit out of Dina or they were raping her. So they was doing something horrifying to her before they killed her. So my big question is like, The Last of Us, I think this is going to be one of the most gut-wrenching stories that I've ever seen. I think it might be one of the most brutal stories that I've ever seen in a video game. You know, the game had already stirred up some shit, you know, with that lesbian kiss, which I could care less about. So it begs the question, if it turns out that Dina is raped and then killed, are the SJWs going to act up about this shit? Because after you hear that gunshot, you see that scene where Ellie's sitting on the bed, topless, with cuts, scrapes, and bruises all over her back. And I think that scene set the tone for how savage Ellie is about to get. So you've seen how venomous she turned, how vengeful she became, how filled up with hate she became. So it makes me wonder, they must have did something horrifying to her. So, you know, again, if it turned out that they raped her, it's going to be, you know, if it turns out that they raped her, how far will they show, how much of that would they show before the screen blacks out and then you hear the gunshot go off? You know, you're going to see a situation where, you know, they rip the shirt off and you see a bra strap or something like that before the screen finally goes black. But whatever happens to Dina, I think it's going to trigger something from the SJWs. It probably going to trigger something from feminists. Because whatever happens to Dina is going to be brutal. So, you know, I've had about enough of SJWs, you know, poking their noses into our pastime, our passionate pastime. This is going to be a brutal game. It's probably going to be one of the most horrifying games that I've ever seen. But I still want to be able to enjoy it and not have to look at video game websites or turn on YouTube and find out that the SJWs is acting up about this shit. You know, I don't know. Even if they make any noise about it, actually, it may not be that loud. Because one of the biggest voices for the SJWs, Anita Sarkeesian, is damn near broke. So, I don't know. Maybe she'll make some noise to try to stay relevant. Who knows? We'll see. But I think that's about all I got. Let me see here. I'm going into the store here, try to pick up a couple of things. Get on home, and then I'll get to uploading this video. So, like, comment, share. And I will catch you guys later. All right. Deuces.